able to take a part in this game and make something of it. Warrington on the other side of things, you wonder if maybe some people that played last week might miss out. People like Jack Hughes, maybe Steph Ratchford, Widdop and Williams. Although, do they want to keep that pairing together to try and develop it for the crunch period of the playoffs? It will be interesting to see if Warrington pick up Charnley, King. They might, not play. It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
It is. It is going to be interesting, and it's not an easy call to make. I think if I were a Wire fan, which is a horrendous thought, but if I were a Wire fan, I'd be wanting my team to rest a few in this one, in the knowledge that if we do lose, then because it's not going to make any difference to our league position, and then we've got Cass the following week, and then they've got to come to our place, and then we play a full team. So I think I would be looking not to go, complete A team here, but certainly to give anyone who's got a knock or could do with a breather, I would be giving them a breather in this game. So I've got feeling that will help Cass to win the game, because they will be absolutely dead serious about this one. It's winning in, as you say. It's sudden death for Castleford here, and I think my prediction would be Cass will win by 8.
Oh, I've written Cass by 8 as well. I think Wire need to be careful about being too cute. They don't want to get too cute with team selection. Yeah. They don't want to overthink it, especially knowing that if they lose this one, they'll be playing them again next week. You don't want to be over complicating it, giving people things to put on the dressing room wall and all that sort of business. So I think some people will play, some people won't play. I think that's natural at this stage of the season. I think more to the point, whoever Warrington play in their side, Cass need it. Home field advantage too. I just think that'll carry them over the line. In this game, Cass by 8 as well. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Friday night, 7:45 p.m. on Sky is the playoff for the playoffs. Leeds versus Hull KR. What do we think here?
Well, the first thing I think is I'm going to have to record this because I'm out at a gig, and then try and avoid finding out what the result is so it doesn't spoil my enjoyment of the game.
Well, I'm at a wedding, but I think I'm going to try and have it on if the Wi-Fi's up to scratch in a country pub in the lakes. I'll try and have it on Sky Go on the sly.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with getting away with that. I think Leeds have got home advantage. I don't know how many of the players that were missing from the pack against Saints last week are going to be available for this one.
Fairly sure Tetevano and Oledzki are done for the season, but might scrape into a side in the playoffs, but won't be available for this week. I'm fairly sure I read that today.
Okay.
Well, Tetevano's suspended probably.
Yeah, I mean, if unless Leeds can sort out the middle a bit, I've got a feeling that Hull KR might just nick this. Not by much, but I'm going to go Hull KR by 2.
See, I'm not sure it's going to be won and lost down the middle anyway. I think the absolute key battle in this game is Harry Newman versus Sean Kenny-Dowell. And you'd think with the season he's had, Kenny-Dowell surely is going to be in the dream team. I think he might just come out on top of that battle this year, never to happen again. And I think that's where this game's going to be won and lost, out wide. And on the flip side, you've got like the Handley wing up against the Crooks wing, and then so that'll be interesting in terms of One has the speed on the ground, one has the ability in the air. Ryan Hall, whether he plays or not, that could be a factor because that changes the dynamics there. A Kindhorst or someone like that playing out on the wing isn't going to be quite as threatening and imposing. I think you turn down your chances of scoring plays, from a above 50% chance of an even challenge going Ryan Hall's way to below if it's the other way. So that's an intriguing one for me. If Leeds can manage their sort of playmaking positions, get their decision making a little bit better than it was last week, and I think they'll have a bit more space and time as the game goes on, then I think they should, at home, edge a win. I think it could either be a nervous low scorer, but more likely a nervy high scorer. And I'm going to go Leeds by 4 in a 30-26 type game.
It's going to be a belter whichever way it goes, I think, this one. It should be a really good game.
And also, your prediction of Hull KR's made me kind of go part of where I've gone with mine, because I really can't decide. And I think I'd rather see Hull KR in the playoffs in terms of they've played better. But what I want from my perspective is I think Wigan need a chance to say to Leeds, hold on, we need to show better than we showed in that game where we lost 0 to them.
Yeah. And I'd like to see Wigan versus Hull KR. I think it would be a great game.
The first of the games that don't mean so much. Friday 7:45 p.m. Salford versus St Helens. I mean, the question over this game really is how many cards will Salford get and how many players will St Helens rest. Like you've said, it could potentially be a sort of 2-week layoff now, but they didn't rest anyone last week. You've got to think they'll put a couple of players' feet up, even if it's just Coote. Well, Coote anyway is going to be, even if it's just Walmsley, Makinson, Percival.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think so, Mark, but I don't know. I don't know what Wolves' philosophy is going to be about going into the playoffs. We've got, we're going to have, after this week, effectively, we've got a fortnight's rest anyway. I'd like to think that he will rest some of our key players. I would personally I wouldn't have Walmsley anywhere near this game. I wouldn't have Roby anywhere near this game. We've got cover there anyway. But I wouldn't have Percival anywhere near this game. But I don't know what his philosophy is going to be. We'll find out. After the game, he said he'll play the strongest team he can this week. But what that means, I don't know. Because I guess anybody that's got a knock, you're just not going to risk them in this. And most players are carrying a knock at this time of year.
And you think a lot of the players are, match ready, don't necessarily need the game time, even if it's going to be a 2-week layoff. There's some people, probably like Lees and to a certain extent maybe Knowles as well, who haven't played as much this season. They might be, it'd be kind of sensible to keep them in.
Yeah, there's certainly players like Thompson needs some games. He's not played much recently.
And you might get that with Matautia picking up a knock last week. You'd think he won't play. Maybe young Wingfield will get a start.
I think Wingfield will probably get a start in this game. And I think we might get to see Dan Norman, who's a young prop forward, come in and play.
Didn't he play at Salford earlier in the year on loan?
Yes, he did, yeah, he did. He played on loan earlier in the year. So I don't know. I suspect it might be a bit of a mixed team, this from Saints. It doesn't matter really to either side. What happens in this game. I've got a feeling that Salford will probably win it because we won't quite have our head in the right place in this one. So I'm going to go Salford by 6.
Oh, I'm going Saints by 18, whatever they put out.
Yeah. We'll see.
Friday 7:45 p.m. Wakefield versus Hull FC, a game that has nothing on it now really at all. Ninth place is up for grabs for Wakefield. I think that's the as interesting as it sort of gets. I don't care.
No, I don't care about almost any of these games, to be quite honest, Mark, except the first two. I don't really care. I'm going to say Wakefield because they're playing at home, but that's about it. And I'll say Wakefield by 10, but not with any. We're just randomly guessing here, I think.
I think Hull FC. I'll go Hull FC by 12. I think they'll need a reaction after last week's miserable performance, and Wakefield aren't the same defensive side that Wigan are. Let's face it.
No. Speaking of which.
Yes. Also on Friday night, 7:45, Wigan are doing the same thing as Hull did. That you can go along with someone for free, but I won't be there. I'm at a wedding, and I'm not absolutely certain that my ticket will get used. I think that there's a malaise around the sort of Wigan fans that are on the the fringe Wigan fans that go occasionally as to whether it's worth it this year with the way we've played attacking wise. Catalans rested a lot of people last week. I think they'll bring back a lot of those people. I think there's just similarly talking about you guys, McAloran played last week. No, he didn't in the end, did he?
No, he didn't.
And he needs game time. I was surprised. He was named in the initial squad. I was surprised he didn't play. I would anticipate Tompkins coming back in, but that's one that they might make a decision on, thinking, does he actually need the game time? Maloney and Drinkwater, I think that might be a position that they might rest Maloney.
Yeah,
potentially.
They might do. Particularly if they want to give Tompkins a game, they can always move Morg up into the halves, can't they? So,
but I think the forwards will play. I don't think they'll rest as many of the forwards as they seem to have rested this week. So Bousquet, Joel Tompkins, although he might be injured, did he pick up a knock at Magic weekend? Not sure. So I think they'll kind of come in. Cassiano, I think he'll play. I think they will play some of those guys because they won't want them to have 3 weeks off. 2 weeks off is okay, I think. 3 weeks in a row is maybe too much. They might play the younger guys for more minutes, which might play into Wigan's hands. But yeah, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. And there's a question as to whether Wigan might want to rest some people because Wigan are set in fourth. They can't finish lower than fourth.
No.
And you have to wonder. I'd suspect Gildart won't play because he seems to only play once every 2 weeks. I wouldn't be completely surprised if Wigan chose not to play Sam Powell after his recent concussion issues, if Wigan chose maybe not to play Brad Singleton or Ollie Partington because they've played a lot of minutes this year. I wouldn't be entirely shocked if Liam Farrell didn't play and Kai Paul got the start in the second row. So yeah, I think it's a really tough one to pick because I think Wigan more than Catalans have got reasons to be resting the odd player in this one. I really don't know which way to go. I'll just say Wigan by 1 because I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and I will say Catalan by 6.
Fair play. Sunday 3 p.m, a game that has even less care about it. Huddersfield versus Lee.
Huddersfield by 4. Can we move on?
Yeah, I'll say Huddersfield by 8. No, I'll say Huddersfield by 18. You say Huddersfield too, don't you?
Yeah, Huddersfield by 4. Nothing else to say.
Okie dokes. Women's Super League. St Helens play Wigan, I think for the first time this year finally. Sunday 2 p.m. That's on Twitch. I don't believe now that Wigan, even if they win that game, can get into the top 4. I think it depends on what Cass do in their last game actually. Which I think Cass play York this week as well. That's more important for positions.
That's a big game.
Because whoever wins that game will finish third, and whoever loses it will more than likely finish fourth. But if Cass lose it and Wigan can, by some miracle beat this Saints side, then that could be interesting. But otherwise, Saints